Hi, everybody. She's not supposed to do that. Good morning. Hello. I hope everybody is doing well. Happy. Is it daylight savings time or is it standard time? I can't remember. Time, man. Time. It's a crazy thing, isn't it? Well, I hope that you slept well. I hope that this isn't too harsh of a time change for you. And I intend to use the sun, even though I would prefer that we weren't doing the whole time change thing. There we go. So I'm just going to talk a minute before the invocation so that a couple of people can join us. Maybe Max will say hi. Kitty. Hey. What are you doing? Do you want to come over and say hi? Come here. Yeah. Oh, okay. Do you want to come here? Come here. Here she comes. Hi. This is Max. She doesn't really like being held like that. Okay. Let's do the invocation. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. And if you haven't joined me before, I use this book called Earth Prayers from Around the World, and I use it like we were taught in Sunday school. I don't know if we were taught. Everybody just knew that God was going to speak to you if you just let the Bible fall open wherever it went. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes it was like God from on high came down to us. But other times it was like people killing each other and stuff. All right, so I'm going to... Okay, here we go. This is an Eskimo song. I'm filled with joy when the day dawns quietly over the roof of the sky. Life was wonderful in winter. But did winter make me happy? No. I always worried about hides for boot soles and for boots, and if there'd be enough for all of us. Yes, I worried constantly. Life was wonderful in summer. But did summer make me happy? No, I always worried about reindeer skins and rugs for the platform. Yes, I worried constantly. Life was wonderful when you stood at your fishing hole on the ice. But was I happy waiting at my fishing hole? No, I was always worried for my little hook in case it never got a bite. Yes, I worried constantly. Life was wonderful when you danced in the feasting house, but did this make me any happier? No, I always worried I'd forget my song. Yes, I worried constantly. Life was wonderful, and I still feel joy each time the daybreak whitens the dark sky, each time the sun climbs over the roof of the sky. That's an Eskimo song. It's kind of appropriate for today, for what I've been thinking about. So, our invocation. Good morning, Joe Carroll. Hello. You'll have to watch back because Max made a little appearance. She's sitting like right there, watching over me, making sure that we're all fine and good. If anyone wants to say what kind of a week they had, it's felt really weird, like wondering when I should act like there's still a pandemic. I can't look it up because it's on my phone, but our numbers are very, very low, even here in El Paso County, which has consistently been one of the highest rank, like not ranking, but highest COVID counties in Colorado. And so I've actually, just because I have people in my life who need more care if they got it, so I've been very careful. And yet, as I told you last week, I hosted my daughter's birthday party here a week ago Saturday, and it felt very odd and wonderful. Oh, hey Max. Are you gonna say hi? No, bye. Okay. The cat. Yeah, it just felt weird and wonderful and fine, but wonderful to have people at my house, but also just kind of crazy. And that kind of reset how I interacted with the world at large. Yeah. And so I'm going to post a video. Yesterday I went to my friend Vanessa's story hour, and she's Little Miss Story Hour, and she does events all over the area and really the nation. And there are a couple of events coming up that I would love you guys to check out. And eventually, soon, I am working on having guests every now and then for Sunday morning, so you can see two lovely faces and hear about some cool stuff. So, including my artist friends, Joe Carroll. Okay? All right. So, so I've been, I don't know, this week I've been really kind of mulling over this one particular thing, and it's come up over and over with my friends and just in everyday life. And that is, how do we, like, what is the role and how do we not, I guess, judge, but also manage the concept of pleasure in our lives? This is a huge soapbox for me, like the whole puritanical influence on American culture. I don't know. I think maybe my church was, I don't know. I don't know if Puritans theologically are closer to Calvinists and thus Baptists, or Wesleyans and thus Methodists and Nazarenes. The whole holiness thing which is where I came out of. I think that energetically, I guess, they would hate that. Energetically, they definitely like strove for holiness, and yet I think they also felt like they weren't savable, and so they had to kind of prove their way into heaven, prove that they had been chosen. I'm going to have to look that up. I'm very sorry. I didn't plan on talking about just Puritans. But it's very clear in American culture and character and society and the structure of our society that it was influenced by Puritans. I mean, we have fears around things that places that had no Puritans do not have. Let's see, the body. How many whacked out assumptions do we grow up with about our bodies, about other people's bodies, about like who should see total strangers' bodies? I mean, even I have not been there, but I've heard that the up part of Michigan is like the one place in America where you can get tons of saunas, and people go in them and they're naked around each other and they don't know each other. We have a couple of those here, not saunas, but hot springs that are clothing optional. And I'll never forget a friend of mine, a mom friend from my kid's school. I went with another friend to this clothing optional hot springs, and I'm standing on the side of this thing completely butt naked, and this other acquaintance is like, "Oh, I want you to meet my new boyfriend." Like, nice to meet you. I'm gonna think of us naked every time. No, not really. Actually, he's a totally nice guy, and I saw him plenty of times after that, clothed. It wasn't weird, even though telling it sounds weird. And maybe it only sounds weird because it's me. Oh well. So, the body and how so many things are taboo, and how profoundly that impacts how we not only think about pleasure, but like even experience pleasure, right? And I mean, sure, sex is thrown in there, but I was actually, this whole week I've been thinking about kind of how pleasure impacts my daily life. And I'm looking over there because that's where I sit at the front of the house at the table to work. And I've been creating a course. I've talked a little bit about it on my website and a little bit about it before, but it's kind of the one course that I want to do before I do anything else. And it's how to integrate the wild into our everyday lives. That's the title. That's what it's into your everyday life. That's what it's all about. And I have modules and stuff. And yesterday I decided to try to practice one of my activities. It's going to be an eight week course, and we're going to there's going to be a Thursday night session for one group of people, and then a Saturday morning session for another group of people, so that you can fit it into your schedule. But I'm also going to have, the reason I'm spreading it out is because I want people to practice and experience the things that we talk about in the modules over the course of the week. That's my long and awkward telling you about this new thing. Okay. So yesterday I decided, okay, I'm going to do one of my activities, and it is to, like, as a discipline, to do every single thing, an entire day, solely for my pleasure. And that's really hard if you're a mom. It's really hard if you have any other people in your life. And oddly enough, it's really hard if you are by yourself and just have all of these guilt and fear and old embedded habits from, a tamped down upbringing. And so for me, even now, a lot of people assume that because I wrote this book called The Oat Project and I did all these wild things, that I just became like that and did all those things all the time. Like that I'm some mom gone wild or whatever. And that just isn't true. A. B, I don't have time. But also C, it's not like it's not my lifestyle, and it's not what my body likes. And so choosing to enjoy every single thing over the course of a day still feels pretty radical to me. In the morning, I laid in bed maybe 5 minutes more, but I was thinking about, am I feeling pleasure? Do I love what I'm doing? It made me stay in bed a little longer, but it also made me get up because I was feeling okay in my body. You know what I mean? And then when I got up, I made my bed because it gave me pleasure to look at it made. Like, I didn't feel oh, you have to make your bed. I just kind of, I looked at my bed and I said, do I want to do this? And I did. And this, I'm not really a bed maker. I'm not like a person who's always made their bed and been in. I'm not a very neat and tidy person, except in my kitchen when it's clean, because my dishwasher's broke for a long time. But yeah, it just gave me so much pleasure to look at the bed made. And because I was thinking of looking at the bed made, I was able to find pleasure in actually making it. Does that make sense? So then I went about my day, and it kind of got a little bit not hijacked, but like I was able to interrupt my day because I was able to go and help somebody, like support my friend, actually my friend Vanessa at her event, and be there for her and be there for some other friends. And because I was focusing on how is this pleasurable instead of, how do I explain this? It wasn't, the universe owes me pleasure, and so I have to find, I'm not doing anything until I feel good about it. Ooh, it wasn't that. It was, I am going to do these things at the very outset, even though it changed my plan for my day, because this friendship gives me pleasure. And because being a good friend gives me pleasure. And because making sure that this person talked to this person, because I'm that person in my family, like I have to make sure that everybody texts me to find out what's going on half the time. That gives me pleasure to be able to connect people and do things. And so instead of I'm not going to go to this thing because I planned my whole day around finding pleasure, or doing things that I find pleasurable, it was, I am going to find the pleasure in everything. And when I got back home, I could have gotten out my inner whip and said, my kitchen needs a little bit of a cleanup and this and that. And I kind of chose to paint and talk to a friend on the phone and do some other things, that because I was choosing my own pleasure, grounding down into what I really wanted to spend my time on. And there we come to another thing, right? And so it was a good day. It was a really good day. I have some cleaning to do over there in my kitchen, but that's fine because I'm kind of, so there's anticipatory pleasure, right? Maybe the anticipatory pleasure of looking at a clean kitchen. This is not rocket science. I know that. People, better people than me, smarter philosophers, they've all talked about this. There are whole books, right? Okay. However, when it comes down to every day, like grounding down into every day, that's why I'm talking about it. Okay. How it impacts your life and my life as we sit or clean or shower in our little houses or our big houses in an everyday, ordinary way. So the anticipatory pleasure was there. But then, there's this concept, and I had this friend when I first moved to Colorado who was very like Colorado all the way and Colorado. And she introduced me to chai tea, which is chai actually means tea, FYI. So it's chai. And that was a revelation. I'll never forget it. I could probably draw standing in her kitchen, how it looked and how it felt. It was amazing. But she also had this thing that she did where she was constantly saying, I don't want to waste any time. I don't want to waste any of my life. I don't want to waste any of my, so I'm going to go and I'm going to go skiing this week. And then I'm going to go body surfing. You know, I mean, it wasn't like that because we can't body surf here, but it was like, I must be constantly active so that I do not waste any moment of my life. It was like this gigantic whip that she had given herself to live by. And it confused me. My whip was different back then. It was God and the church. She was a Christian too at that point. But, you know, this kind of outlook didn't really have a whole lot to do with that. However, you look at pleasure and you look at a life and you look at having one life, and there's a judgment there. Is pleasure worth the time spent to enjoy it? Like, is that a good way to spend a life? I don't know. It's, you know, hedonism, finding what satisfies the urges of the body, including food and drink and sex and you know, textures or whatever. Is that life is worth itself worthy? So there's some logic here, or there's some deduction. So, you know, kind of there may be the two ways, okay? God created everything. A God created everything, created you, created me, with intent. Or evolution, we are the product of evolution over years. Really, either way, this problem is kind of the same. So if God created us and created us as beings that can experience pleasure, then the whole church thing of pleasure is wrong, cut off your hand if you start to pleasure yourself, cut off, I mean, you know, the church has used pleasure as evidence that people are broken and people are sinful. I completely disagree, because they've skipped the important part that way back when God created man, humans, he made us capable of feeling pleasure. That was not an accident. And then with evolution, if it's evolution, then, or even aliens, or whatever, we've evolved to feel pleasure. So seeking out the softer garment, or giving ourselves 10 extra breaths of rest in the morning when it feels very pleasurable, I don't see that as contrary to the flow of life, whether it's from God or evolution. Maybe what, you know, context is king. Maybe it's the context. Like, if I ignore all the other parts of being human, just seek or stay in pleasure, then maybe that's where it kind of goes wrong, cockeyed, wacky, whatever. C.S. Lewis, in his space trilogy, he talks about this. I think it's mostly it's not Out of the Silent Planet. It's the one about Venus. And he has this theory that if we keep trying to repeat a pleasure, that's where it goes kind of cockeyed. because we are meant to enjoy life and enjoy the thing and then move to the next thing, instead of always seeking one particular thing. And I can see I can see that in everyday life. Like if I were to keep making my bed in the morning, something as simple as that, then clearly that tips over into sort of, mania or OCD or something like that. But I just don't think that pleasure is at the root of it. I don't think pleasure is the wrong thing. And I'm here to accept how good something might feel. And I wish that for others. Like, I don't believe giving a hungry person cake is immoral. Maybe if it's only cake. But if they want cake, I'm gonna give them cake, God, religion, man. I get crying angry at how the concept of thinking of yourself as broken or bad really messes with everyday life. And in my own life, and I've been told from other people too, it is not just I'm going to decide that this doesn't impact my everyday life anymore. It is as though you're fighting a virus or unweaving something from the tapestry or a rug or a sweater. And sometimes it unpicks more than you think it's going to do, Until you, like, individually. And I guess it does apply to groups as well. But until someone shows me that they don't care about human beings, whether themselves and they don't care about being like a human being with everybody else, I'm just going to assume the best of you until you prove me wrong. But I'm going to assume the best of you. And I'm fine. And you are fine. And it's great and fine to seek pleasure. Maybe to seek the pleasure in life. To look for it and celebrate it and honor it and notice. Maybe a good, how you do mindful eating? Well, I guess I propose that we do mindful pleasure, where when I was making my bed, I enjoyed the look of how the cover was very smooth. I enjoyed that visual, how it sat on the bed. When I get off here, I'm going to enjoy the sound that my coffee grinder makes. I'm going to take pleasure in it. Maybe that's, okay, so that's the phrase, right? We take pleasure. And it's not that we take pleasure away. It's that we discover pleasure in everyday things. Now, can we find pleasure in being chained to a wall? I don't think so, right? Or should we find pleasure in being the person who chained somebody else to the wall? No. That comes from watching a really intense show this week. And so no. Not when it harms other people, but when I guess the pleasure in the mundane and the pleasure in everyday life. Last thing I'll say, I'm not saying that it's wrong to look for having fun, because that's important as well. Like, I look forward to traveling again. I look forward to doing the things that make me uniquely me and that I uniquely find pleasurable and fun. And I honor you, and I want you to do the same. I've rambled on a lot about pleasure today, but I hope you got some little nuggets, okay? And I challenge you to mindfully notice pleasure this week. When you're taking pleasure, invoking pleasure in something that you're doing that you might not have thought of as pleasurable, and doing some things that are strictly for pleasure. The kinds of clothes you wear, where you go, how you drive, how you sit in your car, which foods you eat. On that quick little note, I've read that research has shown that when we crave something, when we crave a food, our brain gets the message, our bodies are sated with the thing that we craved after only 3 bites. And so if you're craving ice cream, or if you're craving cake or something that, or, whatever goes against how you're healthy, then 3 bites, then give it a few minutes and your brain is going to be like, it's going to feel that pleasure, right? So I challenge you to think about pleasure this week and to enjoy it as much as possible. I'm very thankful. Hi, Joe Carroll. I'm very thankful for everybody who comes and joins me in these and then watches them later. I'm going to keep going, so you're not getting rid of me. I do. I'm gonna post a couple of things. My daughter is having an art sale, and I will be posting the link here as well. So please check out the prints and original pieces that she's kind of doing a studio clearing sale to get ready for a big show that she's got coming up and some commissions and stuff. Okay. And also I will be posting about my friend Vanessa's couple of story time shows that are coming up. It's for kids, but then there's also one in April that it's a drag queen show at a club here in town. And so I'll post that as well. And then also, yeah, if you would like me to ramble on or tackle anything in particular, please message me or comment, and I will look at that. I just really appreciate you guys. And even when I feel a little messy and, all of that, thank you. Okay? Joe Carroll, I'm not going to go on until the end just to do it. Okay? I love you. And I hope to see you guys next week. Have a wonderful week. Ciao. Ciao.